What's up, YouTube? It's the Action Figure Grader coming back to you with a vintage collection market update. Lots of really interesting sales, as always. I try to troll eBay often, and wow, some of these prices were pretty incredible. I question the legitimacy of one sale, but wow, I mean, just looking at this thumbnail, we've got a unpunched Magna guard that went for big money, and we have two VC20 Canadian Yodas that sold. One of them obviously here, that was an unpunched example from my what to buy video. Without giving too much more away, let's go ahead and dig right in. The first one is a VC01 Dengar, and this one sold for $130. That's kind of right in line with market. Everything that has been selling recently for VC01, I did find 2 or 3 other sales, and they were all priced between $120 and $150. So this one sold right in the middle there at $130 plus $8 shipping, and it looked to be a really clean example with the Boba Fett rocket firing mail away offer. It was the US card VC01. Great looking card back there. Next up, we've got a return of the Jedi Boba Fett. This is the one with the prototype Boba Fett offer sticker. This one sold in an auction on March 16th over in the UK for 127 pounds. It was an unpunched example, and it was the US card back. Very, very clean looking example. That one in US dollars is 152 US dollars plus shipping. The shipping to the US was 40 bucks. Next up, I've got a few different early other card backs that I wanted to cover. This is Anakin Skywalker. Now, as I've talked about, Boss Bounty mentioned that Anakin Skywalker unpunched is the expensive one, which I did not know that. But Anakin Skywalker name pill unpunched is expensive, but punched can be found very regularly. And this one sold for $125.10. And then Obi-Wan Kenobi on an unpunched card is another one that continues to command big prices. And this one was listed for $349.95 plus $15 shipping. The best offer that was accepted on that one was $300. So this one was by no means clean either. I mean, if you look in the lower right-hand corner, it had some obvious scuffing or something going on in the lower right corner. But the rest of the card was very clean. But $300 for an unpunched Obi-Wan Kenobi, that's the highest price I've seen here recently for him, and that one just continues to creep up in price. Several different General Grievous sold, and this is the retail release offerless, and it was the US card back unpunched. It looked to be in pretty clean shape overall. Maybe just a little bit of wave to the card. That one sold for $112.50 plus $10 shipping. That was a really low price relative to these others that sold. This one is another US unpunched card, but this one did have the rocket firing Boba Fett sticker on the front there. That one sold for $175 plus $8 shipping. And then finally we had this one, the Foil Ultimate Galactic Hunt. It did have a ding in the upper left-hand corner, very minor, but overall fairly clean otherwise. I didn't see any other kind of major damage to this foil Grievous, but that one still sold for $190 free shipping. So several different data points. I feel like this one was a pretty good buy for the offerless card, but you know, again, this one did have some wave to the card, but maybe a little bit of scuffing as well in the lower right hand corner. So $112.50, $175, and then $190 are 3 different General Grievous cards, and all 3 of them were different. Next up was the Magna Guard, and as I alluded to at the beginning of the video, there were some really interesting prices that we got to talk about. So this one is the foil card back. Pretty easy to find this one. This one was listed for $112.50. The best offer that was accepted on this one was $96 plus $8 shipping. So a little over $100 for a very, very clean looking foil Ultimate Galactic Hunt. But this is the one I question. I just don't know if this is a legitimate sale or not. Now, Power Droid is a fairly well-known seller on eBay, and if he watches my videos, I'd love to know if this is a legit sale. But $750 for an unpunched example. We documented one a couple of months back that sold in an auction for $210. So this premium just makes me question whether the buyer actually paid this or not, and it certainly was a clean card. And as we talked about, there was an article by Yakface that talked about how some of these early card backs that came unpunched, they were very rare. There was a running change where they were no longer offered unpunched. But anyway, this one says it sold for $750 free shipping. If this seller is watching, I would love to know if this actually did happen or not. But I did double check it on 130point.com, and it said it was a confirmed sale at $750. I mean, that's 2.5 times or 3 times what the other one sold for. But admittedly, it is a pretty rare unpunched early cardback VC18 Magna Guard. Next up, we had a VCP03 rocket firing FET. I think I have a couple of examples here for this one. This one sold for $110 plus $5 shipping. Overall, pretty clean card with just a little bit of wave to the card. And then this one also did sell for $125 plus $10 shipping. So that's another one that seems to be kind of dropping in price, is the rocket firing mail away Boba Fett. But between 110 and 125, 135 plus shipping seems to be kind of the new rate. I seem to remember last year these were kind of closer to $175 to $200. But anyway, just a couple of data points there. Next up is this is a punched example of Kit Fisto, and this one sold for $109.99, which is $132 and change. And unpunched examples we've documented here recently that have sold for around $140, maybe as low as $125 for unpunched examples. So I think this one will go as a slight overpay for a punched example, but nevertheless, that's what it sold for, 110 pounds or about 132 US dollars. Next up, this is the one I had in my what to buy video, and it sold very quickly thereafter. And I think it did sell for a little bit less than the $99.95 price. If you happen to buy this, you can confirm this in the comments if you like. But nice looking 501st Legion Clone Trooper. This was an unpunched example, US cardback, very, very clean overall. And this seller, Giorgio Joe, I have bought from and been very, very happy with this seller. I purchased a vintage Kenner 45 back Star Wars display arena AT-AT Commander. And so take a look at his other inventory, because I do believe he has some other really nice early TVC 1.0 unpunched for very fair prices. But this one is listed as $100 plus $8 shipping as the sales price. But I seem to remember getting an offer from this seller for this one that was a little bit lower than $100. But anyway, 130 Point says it did sell for $100. Next up, Grand Moff Tarkin. This one was an unpunched example and sold for $180 free shipping. That's a little bit higher than where we've seen this one been selling, but it was a really clean looking example. Here's the back of the card, US card unpunched, and this one is kind of it's all over the map, but it seems like it's been kind of hovering a little bit lower lately. But this one kind of jumped back up to $180. But nice looking card. I mean, we all talk about this one a lot, where the face sculpt just doesn't quite look like, it kind of looks like Skeletor or the guy from Tales from the Crypt. But I think that this would really be nice to have an update for. But given everything else that the vintage collection has going on right now with all of this new media that's coming out on Disney Plus, I think getting a retooled face sculpt for Grand Moff Tarkin is probably not in the cards anytime soon, unless he makes an appearance in one of these shows, in some kind of prequel show. But next up, we've got Shea Vizsla. This is the VC101 unpunched. And we all know about the reissue and how that's kind of affected some of the resale prices. But this one has bounced back a little bit. This one got down to about $150, $160. This one was listed for $260. And the best offer that was accepted on this one was $250. So that's a little bit higher than where we've seen this one been selling. But admittedly, this was a very clean card back with the Darth Maul offer. Nice unpunched example. $250 took that one home. Several different original issue Ahsoka sold. This was probably the best deal. This one was listed at auction, VC102. It did have a little bit of card curl, as you can see there. This is the US card, and it was unpunched, but overall very clean. I didn't really see much damage with it. Hard to explain why this one sold so cheap. It must have just fallen under the radar, because we talked about Ahsoka and how this one got really low, around $200 to $250. This one sold for $167.50 on 33 bids. That is a really low sales price. That's the lowest sales price I've seen for the original issue VC102 Ahsoka in a very long time. And that one was the U.S. card again, 167.50. Great buy on that one, whoever got that. This was another unpunched card, again, towards the lower end of the range. That one sold for $212.50 plus $10.65 shipping. And, you know, kind of $200 to $250 was kind of the low-end price point. We saw several that have sold between $300 and $330. But it seems like this one has kind of gone back to being a very affordable option for those of you that want to get that original issue VC 102 Ahsoka. $167.50 and $212.50. And then this one sold at auction. This was an AFA 9.0 on the modern scale. Vintage collection Ahsoka. Very, very clean looking card. It did have a little bit of curl at the bottom of the card there, so that might have held the price down just a little bit. $445 took that one home on 29 bids on March 12th. Next up, we've got a VC 111 Leia Bespin gown. And this one was the U.S. card back. It looked to be nice and clean. Here's some other close-ups of the card, unpunched. Pretty great shape overall. I didn't see any major condition issues there. Maybe just some very light dings at the very bottom on the left-hand side of the card back. But that one sold for £99 over in the UK, and that one is $120 US plus shipping. So pretty clean example for Leia Bespin. Next up is Darth Vader Emperor's Wrath, and this one also continues to come down in price. I think the high point for this one was $275 to $300, and it's since come back down quite a bit. This one sold down in Australia for 255 Australian dollars, which is about 168 US dollars. Very, very clean. Maybe just some light edge wear at the top and bottom on the back of the card back, but nice looking card. I love that card image, obviously, and that's certainly a very desirable one. Now we're going to dig into the big boys, the two holy grails. And, you know, these prices, I think, are pretty fair for eBay. And I'll mention more on that in a second. But this is the Yoda, the VC20 Yoda with the alternate card image and the multi-language name pill. One of the grails I consider for the retail releases for the vintage collection. It did have some very, very light edge wear around the punch. And again, it was punched, but we all know this one. We all know how expensive it is. This one sold at an auction for $883 on 19 bids, free shipping on that one. That one was in the US. But the big boy was this one. This is the one I had in my what to buy video, and it sold very quickly thereafter. So I hope that one of you were able to pick this up, because I think this price was pretty fair, really. It sold for 2,200 Canadian dollars, which is 1,594 US dollars. Now, I did speak with one collector who will remain nameless, who was able to pick one up for very inexpensively up in Canada. That was an unpunched example. It did have a little bit of wear around the hang tab, but I believe he picked it up for 1,200 Canadian. Don't quote me on that. If he feels like sharing that information in the comments, then he certainly can. But congratulations to a very close friend of mine and Patreon supporter who was able to pick up an unpunched VC20 Yoda away from eBay, away from you know, the eBay kind of competitive market, and he said he picked it up for 1,200 Canadian, I believe, but he can correct me if I'm wrong on that one. But this seller, Coldbridge Store, always has beautiful Canadian figures. I've bought several from him over the years. But this one was very, very clean. Probably a 90 grade overall. It was just a beautiful example. And I'm not terribly surprised that it was picked up by somebody. So congratulations if you happen to pick this one up. But that one sold for 1,594 US dollars. And as I talked about, there was one that did sell for over 2,000 US dollars last year. So this is a pretty significant discount to that. And it is very, very clean and a very trusted seller. So congratulations on that one. But just some really interesting prices, both high and low. Some grails that have sold here. And I think for me, the big takeaway is if you want that original issue VC 102 Ahsoka, now's a really good time because prices are way, way down for her. And try to aim for about 200 US dollars, and maybe you'll get lucky in a kind of a stealth auction. But this one was certainly the prize, this unpunched VC20 Canadian Yoda that sold for $1,594 US dollars. That's all I really had for this video. Thanks so much as always for watching, and I'll be back soon.